to EdTechX Stories. My name is Benjamin Vidren-Cloquet. I'm CEO and co-founder of EdTechX Holdings and partner at Ibis Capital. EdTechX Stories is a short weekly interaction with CEOs, founders, investors, and innovators shaping and making the future of education and work. So welcome to EdTechX Stories, and I hope you enjoy our next session. Thank you.
Hi there, my name is Sari Hurme-Mehtälä. I am CEO and co-founder company called Kide Science. Kide Science is a Finnish edtech company doing science education for early years, and we provide resources through platform for teachers and parents, and hopefully making more impact in the world through play and science education. And this is my EdTechX story.
Great. Fantastic, Sari. Wonderful to meet you. And thank you very much for joining me today for your EdTechX story. So I'd like to begin by just getting you to cast your mind back and think about, where did your journey start with Kiddie Science?
Yeah, I was just breastfeeding a 6-month-old baby.
Okay.
So that was my second child. I did 2 in a row. And I felt like I really want to do something meaningful in my life after having 2 kids and thinking about their future and also my future, what I want to do with my life. And then I actually bumped into our 2 other founders, Jenny and Aino, in Mothers in Business Network. And so Jenny, as a researcher, was doing a science research about early childhood science education. And then Aino was a teacher in those empirical research science clubs. And the demand after the research was so huge that they needed to build a business, but they didn't have business background. So then they were asking around that, would somebody be willing to join this founding team? And then we met, and it was match made in heaven. And we 3 ladies then founded Kide Science. And back then and since then, I have seen it through my own children then, what is Kide Science and how it affects young children. And they are now one of the Kide scientists, of course. So that was like how I started as one of the Kide Science members.
Fantastic. And sorry, did you always want to be an entrepreneur?
Yes and no. I kind of, when I look back, my childhood, or especially like the teenager years, or then even adulthood. So first I was supposed to become artist, or actually even some kind of a clothing designer and these kind of things. I was really, really artistic person. I didn't that much like about school anyways, like the stuff that you had to actually study about a lot. But then I felt like I would really want to start my own business, but I didn't have the innovation or the idea, like what would be the next big thing. So that was also back of my head, but that I wanted to build some huge business, but with really meaningful impact or something like that. So it was like, then when I met Jenny and Aino and their idea, I was like, okay, this is exactly what I've been wanting to do. But they got the idea and I was just the business person.
You mentioned a moment ago about your experience of learning at school. I wonder if I could just ask you about your experience of learning science at school. Did you enjoy science, and how did your own experience inform what you've gone on to do with Kiddie Science, do you think?
No, I actually kind of hated science. So
Really?
yes.
Okay.
But maybe this is like the story, like what all the idols and these big TV formats has, like I was so bad in school and I was so bad in science that then it was good for me to actually build a company around that, because it's something like I didn't have any inspiration towards sciences. I felt it's too hard, like physics, chemistry. Like in Finland, you learn about science like in the high school years, or in the when you are around 15 or something. And then it's like you get introduced these concepts really complex way, and it wasn't fun. It was like I didn't really get it. I wasn't like really good at math as well. So I'm like the basic person who hated science and math. And I loved music, theater, sports, creativity, arts, everything like that, and even like creative writing. And I was really, really active, good student in that way. So I wasn't like bad student. but I wasn't like 10 out of 10 in all the subjects or anything like that. So I didn't like it, but I have felt, and I hear that a lot with Kide Science, like every time somebody hears what we do, they're like, oh, wish I was having that already in my childhood. And I'm seeing that with my kids, that when they are with Kide Science, they're like, Mom, I really want to explore more. Can we do science experiments again? So I'm so happy that I can see, like, if you actually create the feeling when you are young that the science is something you can do even as young as 3, I'm sure they will have much, much better feelings towards sciences when they are in high school.
It's brilliant that you've got 2 members of your target audience in your own household. That must be hugely helpful.
Yeah.
I just wanted to ask you, no startup founder's journey, no entrepreneur's journey is easy and straightforward. Is there a particular kind of significant failure or challenge that you look back on and that you've had to face that has kind of informed your work as an entrepreneur and your work at Kiddie Science, do you think?
Yeah, I don't think there's anything specific, like one thing, except the pandemic. I think that's like has been a challenge for everybody, but also coming with many possibilities as well. And I think that's the same with the startup. Like, as my background is from big corporates, like being a marketing manager, it's like, okay, here's a big budget for you, and now you have to spend it the most efficient way. But with a startup, it's like you have zero budget, you have zero resources, and then you also have really limited time. Like, you have to be like a big company, international, really successful, with really limited resources, only like the founders first, and then try to make most out of it. So I think that's like the everyday struggle as a startup founder, but that is also as an advantage in a way that you have to be really, really innovative, and also like you have to test everything. You cannot take huge risks like, okay, let's spend all the resources, all the money, and let's just hope the better with this kind of a solution. And that's why also we kind of validated everything before we actually even developed our platform for teachers. So we actually trained them face to face, shared them PDFs, like tested that is this something they are finding useful, and kind of validating that with the teachers, and then creating everything by the teachers for the teachers, for example. And then of course me as a parent as well, thinking about like what parents actually would do. So it's like testing, and then trying to make the best guess. It's also like you can always ask advice, but there's no ready answers because it's like you are doing something totally new. Of course, everybody has competitors, but you are most likely doing something that nobody else has ever done. It might be you have totally new business model, new way of doing something, and then it's like you cannot ask advice. Nobody knows the right answer. You just have to test it.
There's some great insights there into the founder's mindset, Sari. Thank you. That's brilliant. We've got a couple of quick fire questions for you. The first of which, what is the most important change that should be made to Finland's education system?
More salary for teachers, definitely.
Okay. What is the best thing about being a female entrepreneur and founder?
Wow. Maybe a little bit like being an underdog. Like,
Okay. How do you mean?
like, I don't know, maybe because it is still that there are not that many female founders in general in the global scene, in the startup scene. Of course, I think the EdTech and education is something that we see more and more female entrepreneurs. But then also, like, I don't know, I like that there is a challenge somehow, like being an underdog, like that.
Is that a bit of Finnish Sisu spirit there? Sorry.
Yeah, maybe something that you are going against all the odds or all the expectations. That like it's even harder, you as a female founder, like to get funding and these kind of things. And then it's like when you actually achieve that, it's like, yes, we can do it in a way.
Which is better, in class or remote learning?
In class.
And which is more important for you, For profit or for impact?
Impact, definitely.
Okay. Sari, thank you very much for answering our questions today and for giving us your EdTechX story. It's been fascinating talking to you and finding out your background and your experience of running and leading Kiddie Science. So thank you very much for your time. One final question. Can I ask if you have a nomination for somebody whose EdTechX story you'd like to hear next?
Yeah, I would love to actually hear a story from one of Kide Science investor, but also a person who is nowadays founder herself. So Melody Lang, and she is investor, but also nowadays EdTech founder. So I would love to hear her story.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Sari. It's been a pleasure talking to you.
You too. Thank you, Jonathan.
Thanks a lot.